Hello, my name is Victor, and this is my homework for multicultural agents and perspectives. And this is Nitang Ditchapang. He's a friend of mine. He's from India, and right now he's at, where are you?
I'm at Woodstock, Mussoorie, Uttarakhand in India.
Okay, and I will conduct an interview about water pollution or pollution in general of Mexico, from India, and from another part of the world. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you some photos of this topic, that is pollution. But first, I'd like to know, what is your perspective on water pollution, and how did you acquire this perspective?
Well, personally, I think water pollution is something that is quite underrated when it comes to different types of pollution. Um, Water pollution is really harmful if you think properly about it, be it either in the acidic rain or the sewage water that gets into the river water. It affects the marine ecosystem, it affects people who use that particular river, and even plastic waste on oceans. It can be pretty harmful. And I think my perspective around all this started growing when I think way back since grade seven, when I really understood and got to learn many different things. It was kind of like an eye opener as to what's been happening to this world that we live in.
Thank you. And now, for the second question, uh, which parts of your or aspects of your cultural identity you can relate to this issue of water pollution?
I think as my particular culture, I'm a tribal person, so I don't particularly have a religion or a god. Rather, me and my people, we like to worship what it is, and that is nature. So personally, in my home area, we like to save water, and we like to not throw our garbage here and there so that it gets on the water system. And even if we fish or do any sort of hunting like that, we do it in a manner in which it doesn't affect the population of the particular creatures too much.
Oh, okay, that's interesting, and it's good actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is the impact of this problem in your personal life? As you said, you have this community that you don't, well, you do these things to don't pollute water and save as much water as you can. But on your personal life, as you said, what do you think?
Personally, I don't think I've really had first-hand experience with bad water or contaminated water, but yes, sometimes when I'm on the bus on a highway and we're crossing through a bridge and I look down at the river and I feel really bad and sad because I see the water. It's a massive body of water, but it's all, it's bad in color. You can see bad things floating around, be it like plastic wrappers. And I've seen people swim in that type of water because they don't have anything better. Like the population of India in itself, like the Human Development Index, it's quite low, and people don't have the luxury to always go to a swimming pool and all. So I've seen kids, they're playing in the puddles, they're playing in like the bad river, which is connected to a sewage system. And personally, I feel like that affects me mentally more than physically, and it is very sad to see this deteriorating state of water.
Yeah, I think, well, it's kind of harsh, but also you say that there are people that are swimming, and also there's these other people that cares about it. So how do you
Yeah,
think these groups acquire this perspective or beliefs or this acting on this topic or well, this issue?
I think these groups, these NGOs, they mostly understood like a new perspective of, to clean water, to save water. I personally feel like it's mostly by research and direct effects of these water. Like, let's say there's a fish market and they get their fishes from a certain river. And if that river is getting contaminated, people will get disease fishes, and they're gonna hurt themselves and all. So I feel like these NGOs, they've taken a look at that and they've realized that, oh no, we have to save the water. We have to make sure it's clean, not just for us, but for animals and for the entire life's sake, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, it involves the most of it,
Yeah, yeah. It involves a lot.
a lot. Now, talking about Mexico, what do you think it's how do you say how does it sorry how do you think this problem of water pollution is present in Mexico, of your own perspective?
Um, I honestly don't know much about it, and um, I don't really have much information on that side of the world. And I used to think that Mexico didn't really have any sort of water pollution per se or water at all. But that is just me not being informed. So yeah.
It's okay, it's okay. Now, I will show you these photos I said at the beginning of the interview. And I will ask you to, tell me what does it mean to you, and I also will show you my perspective, okay?
Okay.
So, first of all, here's a photo of a street from Mexico City. Oh my God. What happened? Wait,
Oh,
please.
it's not there.
Yeah, wait. This suddenly changed. I don't know why. Let me again show you the photo. Here. No, this is. Let me pause the.
Yeah.
Here. Now, here you can see a typical street from Mexico City, and you can see that it's quite polluted. And this is not only in the streets, this also repeats in rivers, in the ocean, and also there's one beach in Mexico. I don't remember the name right now, but it's the most polluted in, well, one time was the most polluted in Latin America. But also, here are people here is one side of the population that is helping to, uh, well, recollect garbage and else. So there's, well, we have cleaner waters and cleaner streets. And here's also people helping each others in one of the natural disasters that passed a few years ago. That was an earthquake that was kind of destructive for the most part of Mexico City. And this for me represents the two sides of the coin. Here you can see people that doesn't care about this topic. They just live their lives and they throw whatever they want and don't care about anything. But here's the other side of the population that has more empathy on what is happening in our country, and that this is not the country we want to live. We want to live in a clean country. We want to live in a safe country. And I think it's very representative of Mexico that when something happens or where something involves the most of us, a lot of people work together so we can solve or do something to fix it. So what do you think of this?
I totally agree with you. Like, I understand your point of having two sides of a coin. Like, it's the same in a lot of places, really. And it's really sad to know that there are people who are actively trying to help, and yet there are people who just don't care and they just keep on polluting and they just don't care. And it's really sad to see that type of mentality. And well, what you said about your perspective, right, of people trying to get together when there is a situation in which they need to be together, and I think that is quite brilliant, and that is actually really good in general. And yeah, I think that's a great motive and great inspiration to people who don't really know much about this type of topic. Like personally, I like the only parts of Mexico that I have seen are from the movies, and of course, movie representation is far, far different. Like maybe it's about illegal stuff and whatnot, or the cartel. But here, seeing all this, it's really eye opening for me, and it makes me believe that humanity has more faith and good sides too.
It's okay. Now we move from Mexico to India. Here, first is the River Ganges, that I do a little research and is one of the most representatives of India because of beliefs and religion.
Yeah,
Here's also uh, one river of India. I cannot say which one it is, but here you can see that it's very polluted. Also, it has caused many deaths, according to information. And here also, it's a little, well, you can see that in this page called El Sol de Texas, I think it is. Here it says basically that India has recollected a large amount of garbage that is the size of Taj Mahal. I mean, I want to know first your perspective, and then I'll give you mine, so we can interact between each other
okay.
and discuss about it.
After going through these images, I can 100% agree that it is like that. And honestly, it's a really sad thing, like especially on the River Ganga, because a lot of people they go there for religious activities too, right? So some people they take a dip in the water, like as we can see in this image. Some people they have these boats, small floatables where they have the murti, which is a statue of their particular god, and they let it float across the river. And yes, I understand that it's a religious belief, but at the same time, maybe we should, like, if people decide to do that, maybe they could use some non destructive ways instead of always choosing plastic, maybe some other biodegradable ways. And aside from that, the other picture, I mean,
It's
the
good. It's good.
news article that showed that said that India have accumulated garbage around the size of Taj Mahal is, well, it's partially true and partially false because we actually have more than Taj Mahal. Because, so let's say the state of Haryana, right? Haryana is one of the 28 states of India, and that state itself has two pit zones of garbage. And I've seen one personally, and it is much more massive than Taj Mahal. So
My God.
just by looking at that and assuming each state has at least one, 28, so it's more like 28 times the size of Taj Mahal.
That's a big size. That's enormous.
Yeah.
Well, on my own perspective, I think these, how could I say it? These, well, these actions or these interactions, I don't know how to say it, are more based on, as I just said, religious beliefs and else, and also that most of Indian people, well, they live in huge cities. I mean, when I was there, the streets were very thin, but not because the street was thin, but because there were so many people that you could only pass through a little
Yeah. Yeah. The
pass.
population is quite high.
Yeah, and I think it's more related to that the population is so much that the government or the Indian people do these kind of things, but they don't actually realize what they're doing because they think, oh, I'm just throwing this, I'm just doing that. But there's millions of people that also thinks that way and don't care much about it. And also that, how do you say it? Well, yeah, they actually do these kind of things because of, I don't know, these religion beliefs, or they don't care. That's my personal belief. Also, it's I don't know. I think it's wrong because I don't know much about it, but I think it's also has a little bit of true in it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, what you said can definitely be made into a point because considering the population of India and our education system, personally, I would say that most Indian kids go through is not the best. Like our school, my school right now, or our school, our previous school before it used to teach the IBDP program. It's an international program. It's a great program, and we got to meet. We have like proper interaction and knowledge. But if we take a step back and look at the majority of the Indian boards, we have CBSE, ICSE, ISCE. So these boards, they're not really made for understanding what's around us. It's rather made for these Indian children who study these boards to have knowledge so that they can either be a doctor, an engineer, or a government official. So out there, we're not really taught about all this. And I feel like that affects a lot of mentality and like how people think about pollution and all. And yeah, I think that affects in what you were saying earlier about the mentality of not one, but millions of people.
yeah. Well, now moving, leaving this topic outside of India and moving to the next topic, I'm going to show you. Oh well, the next country. It's not. It's the same topic. I'm going to show you a third country that is China. Uh, Here you can see that. Well, I think the most of the people know that China is one of the most polluted parts of the world because of their
Yeah,
manufacture and industries that are all there, and also because we have seen things and else. And well, here I show you some the well, I don't know what part of India, I mean of China is this, but you can see that the ocean is getting polluted because of this waste. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's of uh, chemicals or else. And also you can see here that the conditions of this part, I think it's kind of a river or
yeah,
well, are very bad. And also you can see how, as I just said, that there are many industries that free a lot of chemicals and greenhouse gases to the air without anything, or well, whatever, without caring about it. So first, I want to know your perspective about this, and then I'll tell you mine.
Okay, so what I personally think of China's pollution is that I feel like they do it on purpose sometimes. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but China is more advanced than India. And naturally, I personally feel like they'd have more activists or regulations that help stop all this pollution. But China is just so focused on industrialization and moving forward that they have such repercussions. Like, if I'm not wrong, I did a case study way back in grade 8, and there was saying how China had this factory that kept leaking mercury into the ocean, and it affected all of the near islands. So, the Korea and Japan, and even like Malaysia and Thailand and all, where the fishes would swim up to. But since they had mercury and lead inside them, whoever ate them started getting poisoned. So it affects not just China, but also like the surrounding and the neighboring countries because China is just so big. And yeah, I personally think they should be a bit more responsible and not so competitive in nature, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I kind of have the same thinking as you. I think China. Uh, I don't think it's on purpose, but it's like for I don't know, their obligations because there are well, a lot of countries, including United States, Mexico, do this, go for to China because of how cheap is their manufacture there, and they do this. They do this because they don't care at all, and also, uh, well, as I said, just said, it's for obligation because they have like a huge
Yeah.
background that says, well, I have the cheapest manufacturer here, and you can produce anything here, and also the law. Well, um, I don't know about it actually. Well, I think the interactions between countries allow these kind of things because of how of the amount of money they get from this. Uh, because it's one of the strong points. Well, how do you say? It's a strong point. I don't know how to say it in other words of China, and they don't, will not risk it to uh, well, change these kind of things or change their relation with other countries just for this. I mean, they have their regulations, as you said, but I don't think they are very accurate or very um, uh, beneficial to its own country. And as you said, it also affect not it's not only affecting China, it also affecting a lot of countries, Thailand, Japan. And I think they should care more about this because it's not well. If we continue at this rate, uh, I don't know what will happen. Maybe China will become a zone where nobody can live. I mean, there's a city, I don't remember the name right now, that only a few people can live in there because of the amount of pollution there is, and you cannot go outside without a face mask because of the pollution. You can also have uh, get asthma from it, well, from breathing without face mask, or well, any other respiration diseases because of it. Uh, yeah, well, that's my perspective. Well, this is kind of the end of the interview. And for closure, I want to
Okay.
discuss with you the new perspectives you got by doing this analysis of these images and the discussion we just had. Well,
Well, there are quite a lot of new things that I've learned today. First, being learning about Mexico's water systems and how Mexico really is, and yeah, I feel good learning that. And aside from that, the mentality of Indians, as you said earlier, is also something I wouldn't say new, but something that popped back up in my mind. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, what he said it makes sense. And honestly, when like thinking about China, I never thought it as an obligation. But when you said about like manufacturing and how cheap it is, and like that's when it clicked in my head, and I'm like, oh yeah, like a lot of things they have the made in China tag, and most of the time it's plastics, be polyurethane and polythene and whatnot materials, and that obligation of having relationships with powerful countries and like the international foreign money exchange and all that can really be an obligation, like a forceful thing, and not something that's totally in their control. So that's something new that I've learned. Yeah.
uh, yeah, well, by my side, by my perspective, I think you give me a lot of ideas of how India works and how polluted it was, because you told me that it was because of religion and how you have seen things personally and how the most of it worked, and also I get also well, like also new ideas from China because I didn't know that it was also uh, affecting other countries. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think well, it's kind of general knowledge I get from this. And yeah, I think it was very interesting. I think that's
Yes,
what
yes, I agree.
it summarizes all I get, also information. Yeah, well, thank you for this interview. Thank you for your time. Uh, well, this is the end of the interview. Thank you.
Thank you.